Hello, everyone. If you're planning a trip this year or in the coming ones, you've probably come across headlines about changes to airport security rules. It's easy to feel a bit concerned when you see words like banned, but let's start by putting things in perspective. Most travelers who end up with a delayed bag or a confiscated item aren't making mistakes on purpose. They're just working with information that's a little out of date. Airport security is there to keep all of us safe, and rules do evolve over time as new technologies and safety insights come into play. So, today, I'm going to walk you through some of the key updates for 2026 in a calm, straightforward way, focusing on practical tips to help you pack with confidence. First, it's important to clarify what we mean by banned. In many cases, it doesn't mean an item is completely forbidden from flying at all. Often, it means it's now restricted to checked luggage only, or there's a new limit on quantity or size, or enforcement has become more consistent. This isn't about catching people out. It's about adapting to real safety needs. For example, something that was overlooked in the past might now trigger a scanner because screening tech has improved. The good news is that with a quick check of the current guidelines, you can avoid most surprises. Let's talk a bit about how these rules come about. The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, reviews prohibited items regularly based on data from incidents, advancements in aircraft design, and global security trends. They work with airlines and international partners to make sure rules align where possible. Why do items get restricted? Usually it's to minimize risks like fire, explosion, or interference with onboard systems. Over time, as more people travel with gadgets and personal items, certain things that seemed harmless before show potential issues in large numbers. That's why you'll see updates. It's proactive safety, not reactive punishment. One key distinction to keep in mind is the difference between carry-on and checked bags. Carry-on items go through security with you, so they're screened for immediate risks in the cabin. Checked bags are stowed below, where some hazards are less critical because they're not accessible during flight. Then there are conditional restrictions, where an item might be allowed if it's under a certain size, properly packaged, or declared in advance. And enforcement can feel stricter, even if the rule hasn't changed much. Maybe because of better training for officers or upgraded equipment that detects things more reliably. If you're ever unsure, it's always okay to ask politely at the checkpoint. Most issues get resolved calmly when everyone communicates. Now, let's ease into the specific items and categories that have drawn more attention in 2026. We'll go through them one by one, explaining what they are, why travelers often pack them, the reasons for restrictions, where confusion tends to arise, and how to handle them safely. Remember, these aren't meant to alarm you. They're just updates to help you prepare. Starting with power banks, batteries, and charging devices. These are essentials for so many of us, right? You pack a power bank to keep your phone or tablet charged during layovers or long flights, especially if you're working or staying connected with family. They're portable, convenient, and seem like a no-brainer. But in 2026, there are updated limits on these, particularly for lithium-ion batteries, which are common in power banks. The main concern is the potential for overheating or fire if they're damaged or short-circuit. Airlines have seen rare but serious incidents where batteries malfunctioned, so TSA has tightened the rules to ensure only safe ones make it on board. Specifically, for carry-on, power banks are still allowed, but now there's a stricter enforcement on capacity. Anything over 100 watt-hours typically requires airline approval in advance, and some carriers are capping it even lower for certain flights. Loose batteries like spare AAs or button cells need to be in protective cases to prevent contact. Why the change? With more people using high-capacity devices, the risk adds up, and new studies on battery stability prompted these tweaks. Confusion often comes from older advice. Maybe you read that all power banks are fine as long as they're in your carry-on, but now the watt-hour rating matters more. People check the milliamp hours but forget to convert it to watt-hours. A quick online calculator can help with that. To pack safely, always put power banks and batteries in your carry-on, not checked luggage, because if there's an issue, it's easier to handle in the cabin. Check the label for the watt-hour rating. If it's under 100, you're usually good without extra steps. For larger ones, contact your airline ahead of time. Alternatives? Consider built-in device chargers or solar options that meet the limits. And if you're traveling internationally, some countries like those in the EU have aligned with these, but always verify. By double checking, you avoid having to surrender an expensive power bank at security. Moving on to smart luggage features, smart suitcases have become popular because they offer built in scales, GPS tracking, USB charging ports, and even motorized wheels for easy maneuvering. Travelers love them for convenience, especially on business trips or family vacations, where you want to track your bag or charge on the go. But in 2026, certain features are causing more problems at check in and security. The issue stems from the removable batteries in many models. If they're lithium based and not easily detachable, the whole bag might be flagged. Why restricted? Those batteries pose the same fire risks we just discussed, and if they're integrated, it's harder for security to inspect or remove them if needed. TSA now requires that any smart luggage battery be removable and carried separately in your carry on. Some airlines are even banning non removable ones entirely for checked bags. This update came from incidents where bags overheated in cargo holds, leading to stricter global standards. Confusion arises because early smart luggage was marketed as fully compliant, but as rules evolved, older models don't always meet the new criteria. People assume if it charged fine last year, it's okay now, but enforcement is tighter with better scanners. For safe packing, choose smart luggage with easily removable batteries and take them out before checking the bag. Pack the battery in your carry on, following the power bank rules we covered. If your luggage has a non removable battery, consider leaving it at home or upgrading to a compliant model. Alternatives include separate GPS trackers that clip on and don't have built in power issues. Internationally, places like Australia and parts of Asia have similar rules, so plan accordingly. This simple step keeps your bag moving through without delays. Next up, aerosols, sprays, and pressurized containers. These include things like hairspray, deodorant, bug repellent, or even cooking sprays if you're packing for a self-catering trip. People commonly bring them for personal hygiene, outdoor activities, or just daily routines while away. They're handy and compact. But in 2026, there's more enforcement on size and type, especially in carry-ons. The restriction is due to the pressure inside. These can explode if damaged or exposed to heat changes in flight. TSA follows the 311 rule for liquids and aerosols. 3.4 ounces or less per container, all in one quart-sized bag. But now, certain pressurized items like whipped cream cans or some medical sprays are under closer scrutiny if they're flammable. Why the update? Increased air travel means more potential for incidents, and environmental concerns about propellants have led to some reformulations that affect safety classifications. Confusion comes from thinking all small cans are fine. Maybe you packed a travel-size spray last time without issue, but if it's over the limit or mislabeled, it could be confiscated. To handle this safely, stick to the 311 rule for carry-ons. Measure your containers and use a clear bag. For larger aerosols, pack them in checked luggage, but wrap them well to prevent leaks. Non-flammable alternatives, like solid deodorants or pump sprays, are often unrestricted. If it's a medical aerosol, like an inhaler, declare it separately. Those are usually allowed beyond the limits with proper labeling. On international flights, some countries ban aerosols in checked bags too, so check destination rules. Preparation like this ensures you don't lose your favorites at the gate. Now, let's discuss self-defense items and multi-use tools. Things like pepper spray, tasers, or Swiss Army knives with blades. Travelers pack them for personal safety, especially solo adventurers or those in unfamiliar areas, or just as everyday tools for repairs or outdoor use. They're practical and give peace of mind. However, in 2026, many of these are strictly banned in carry-ons, with some updates to what's considered a tool versus a weapon. The reason is clear. These could be used harmfully in the cabin, posing a risk to passengers and crew. Even small blades or sprays are now more consistently flagged. Pepper spray, for instance, is allowed in checked bags if it's under 4 ounces and has a safety mechanism, but never in carry-on. Multi-tools with blades longer than a certain length are similar. This enforcement ramped up due to evolving threat assessments and better detection tech. Confusion often stems from state laws. Maybe it's legal to carry in your home state, but federal aviation rules override that. People think if it's small, it's okay, but size isn't the only factor. Safe alternatives? For self defense, consider non restricted items like personal alarms or apps with emergency features. For tools, opt for bladeless multi tools or pack them in checked luggage. Declare anything questionable at check in. Internationally, many countries prohibit these entirely, even in checked bags, so research ahead. By choosing wisely, you maintain safety without issues, shifting to certain electronics or accessories with safety concerns. This includes e cigarettes, vape pens, drones, or even some wireless headphones with large batteries. People bring them for entertainment, work, or hobbies, vaping during layovers, capturing aerial views on vacation, or listening to podcasts in flight. But 2026 brings tighter rules on these due to interference or hazard potential. E cigarettes must be in carry on only, with liquids following 311 because of battery and liquid risks. Drones often need to be in checked bags if they have non removable batteries over limits. Why? Electronics can interfere with plane systems or overheat. Updates stem from more reports of in flight disruptions. Confusion from assuming all gadgets are treated the same. Your phone is fine, but a vape isn't. Pack electronics in carry on for monitoring, use protective cases, and for international travel. Note varying drone rules. Alternatives like nicotine patches help avoid issues. Items affected by fire risk or overheating, like lighters, matches, or certain heaters, packed for camping, smoking, or emergencies. Restrictions because they can ignite easily. Lighters in carry on limited to one, no torch types. Updates for better detection. Confusion from old habits. Safe, pack and carry on if allowed, or leave behind. Alternatives. Battery powered options. Liquids or semi liquids exceeding limits, like gels, pastes, or foods. For snacks or toiletries. 311 rule enforced stricter. Why? Could conceal hazards. Confusion from portion sizes. Safe, measure, use solids. Medical or personal items requiring special handling like medications, needles, or CPAP machines. For health needs, allowed with declaration. Updates for documentation. Confusion from not declaring. Safe, label, inform officers. Items banned in carry-ons but allowed in checked, like sporting goods or tools. For hobbies, why? Cabin safety. Pack in checked. Items restricted differently on international flights, like foods or electronics. Vary by country. Check both TSA and destination. In summary, staying informed helps avoid losses, delays, stress. Rules change for safety. Pack thoughtfully, double check, share with others. Safe travels.